Hello, hello, hello! How are we doing today, everyone? I am doing awful because I just discovered that in this episode of Elden Ring, we're not doing a boss rush episode, we're doing Noxtella. I forgot Noxtella! How could I? I'm like, gosh, are there any other places on this giant ass map that I've forgotten to explore? I'm like, oh no, I think we got them all. We're all good, yeah. And then I forget who it was, but someone mentioned it up over in the Discord. Loki, did you forget Noxtella? Like, did you forget Noxtella from the list? I'm like, what list? I got plenty of lists. Oh, you mean for the Let's Play? I'm like, I did! I completely did. No. Anyway, so we're gonna be doing that now today, chat. That'll be fun. This will probably be a short stream, but I don't care. I want to get this all out of the way. Hey John, Underground Space Town. Yep. Pastor of Muppets, Blackreach. Yeah, that's kind of true, honestly. Adolphus. Fuck, we're in the sewers again. At least the lights are pretty. Yep. Noxtella is definitely the prettier of the two cities, Lamau. Oh, in my opinion? Oh, yeah. I don't know. There's something I like about the way Nocron does its little arrangement next to the ancient dynasties. I don't know, I'd have to think about that. I don't know which one I'd consider the prettiest. Oh, hello, lady. This isn't my first rodeo. Oh, you actually survived. I guess I shouldn't be too shocked that the magic lady survives magic. Agree, Nocron is meh. Darn. Here I am, being like, I think it has a certain charm to it, and Pastor's just like, yeah, it sucks. Well, darn. Not Ronnie, inadvertently fulfilling the Nox's wish for an age of stars. The Halig Tree could be a stream. Yeah, that could be a stream, but again, like I said, I don't want to do too much Halig Tree before we do the boss rushes. Let's do all that first, and then we can decide whether we want to go Farm Azula or Halig Tree route. There we go. Let's see. This region really just showed up at the last second to go knock knock on your door! With that spelling and everything, Night Scout. Anything here? Nope. Nope. Okay, so now I know how there's nothing in the chest. It breaks when I'm near it. Aw, darn. Never mind. Noxtella is soothing, but I think Nocron has the most vibrant sky. What about our nameless eternal city, huh? Someone give credit to the beauty of ruin. This is my first rodeo in tackling fierce maidens. Oh my god. Howdy, Xavier. Good to see you. Yeah, there's nothing else in this room, right? Yeah, okay. I feel like the Halig Tree will be multiple streams. Yeah, probably, Platy. Probably. It's probably gonna take more than a couple. You know, it wouldn't be a Loki stream if I didn't hilariously fall to my death, but there was no death there, so I failed! Oh, yay. Hello? 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 I feel like this is supposed to be easier to loot than it is. There we go. Really? Okay. Hey, nothing. Oh, look at that. More silver tear husks. I was expecting to see someone or something at this point. But I guess not. Oh, you're not the... Oh, this is awkward. Okay. Well, this is awkward. There we go. Boy, these guys are tanky. God, I hope there's not a boss at the end of this. Hello there. Another Ghost Glove Warp person, huh? Being buried here. Oh, what do you know? We also got these guys with the statues and stuff. Very provocative image. I guess the idea is almost to symbolize, whether in universe or out of universe, all the people who are dying for the Nox priestesses and all that. What's that symbol on there? I don't know why, but there's something familiar about that symbol on the Nox's chest. Maybe it's just part of their outfit or something, but I don't know. For some reason, it strikes me as familiar. Remember Phalanx? This is him and how feel old yet. Hey, Nobre. Noxtella reminds me a bit of about Irithil, not gonna lie. Yeah, I could see it. I could most certainly see it. Archer ashes. That's not shocking. These are different from the doors in Lindell, right? Or the windows, or whatever you call them. I think they had a slightly different design with like flowers and stuff on them. Let's see. Messenger statues, yeah. It's just a bunch of messengers from Bloodborne. The first round of chest you could open, it was in the corner. You sprinted into it, so the prompt was grayed out. I see. I didn't even see the prompt. Let's look back. I can't tell, chat. Is that blue flame or something else? I can't tell if it's blue sorcery flame or not, but we'll take a screenshot. I was quickly doing my rounds before stream. Quickly double-checking some catacombs and hero graves and stuff to check the color of things. Because I noticed the sorcery flames for the giant mountaintop stuff. I'm like, what else am I thinking? I noticed these side tombs have it too. They have, not only do they have imps with magic pots, they use blue sorcery flame, and they use lightning pots for some other imps. And I'm like, huh. Because I was thinking that the hero graves were built at the same time as the side tombs, so America has both of these built. Like, these are for the heroes of the conquest of, you know, the founding of Lindell. And these are for, like, the normal people. I'm starting to wonder if these are just for tribesmen that weren't heroes coming after the fact or something. Like some of the original Orisa or whatever soldiers. And, like, she used this as to experiment during the post-Crucible era. It's something I'm going to have to keep in mind for my analysis in the future. Anyway. The rest of them were pretty standard, in all honesty. I wasn't too shocked by what I was reading. Nope. There we go. Ant's skull plate. I guess that makes sense when they're mind controlling them. Huge head, one of the giant ants which inhabit the 2 underground rivers. Okay, so the ants can be in either river. So the fact we don't see them a lot in the Shifra River, but we do find their formic rock, tells me that they've been cleared out by Moog and friends. Giant ants are venomous creatures, granted to be... Okay. Ghost Flame is white with black. This is another flame, indigo colored for me at least. I think Ghost Flame. I'm curious if it's Ghost Flame. It's a blue flame. Yeah, so we're gonna have to... We'll have to do... I have screenshots for all the other catacombs, so I'll do some comparisons there and see if it matches anything I'm familiar with. Oh. Okay. This is probably the best shot I'm gonna get of this. Oh! Well, well, well. For a second, I thought that was the symbol you see used with Nito's domain, but I think it's something else. I think it's slightly different, but it does have that same little shield icon thing. Oh, hello there. What a curiously empty room. Somber Smithing Stone 7. Oh, that's interesting, chat. What does the somber smithing stone say versus its normal counterpart? Okay, no, it just points out how the color is drained. Gotcha. Mm-hmm. I wonder if the color draining has anything to do with, like, the silver-gold dynamic we see. So the idea is that the Nox make, they artificially create, this color-drained, or color-faded, stoned, in the same way that there's so much other silvery stuff associated with the cosmos here. And it's like, okay, we use the powers of the cosmos to do something similar with the power of gold. Oh, thank God I can use these. Closest thing was that image someone posted of a Primeval Sorcerer's clothes pattern that I recall. It's very light blue. Good to know, Xavier. I need a Noxian wardrobe. My closet is thirsting for good drip. Good. Damn, Bloodborne messengers suffer everywhere, even in Elden Ring. LOL. Sorry about that. Had to drink my water. I'm feeling particularly parched today, chat. Hey, ignore me. I see. Oh, sorry, wrong one. Ow! There we go. You heard my sorcery and came knocking, huh? Larva deer. What do you know? Ow. Ow! Okay. Me getting a little cocky there. Cost me a bit. Was Radigan an Empyrean as well? He didn't exist until after America was already technically God, I guess, so I would say no. The symbol on the statue looks like Mog's crest. The top part looks like the trident. Ooh. That's another thing to look at for comparison, huh? The symbol of the Nox statue's clothes remind me of a bit of a symbol on the, Godric's Night Cape. Gosh, I have a lot to look at. Oh gosh, I thought there would be, another blast I have to do, but it seems like one charge shot's all it takes. Really? There we go. Darn. Alright. Alright, where are you at? I know you came rolling from somewhere. Yeah, guys, totally. This place came in from sinking. Yeah. The whole... Oh, no, the land sunk, and that's why they're down here like this. No, it's very obvious. It's built around existing rock formations. This wasn't... This ain't sinking. In fact, with all the water... Oh, yeah, of course. Naturally. And dead. I should have done this before I did that. There we go. Just wanted to guarantee I killed these guys in one shot with the surprise. There we go. Got some armor. Let's see. Ooh! Oh, puppets. No wonder they have it under seal. Gotta protect your puppets, I guess, or your puppet arts. I guess this is a weird question. Do I get the physical puppets that I summon as spirits, or what? Like, this is somewhat vague. They're just like, hey, here you go, you can summon these now. It's like, okay. Do I have, like, tiny puppet dolls like Ronnie that I'm using? Like, very curious how this is supposed to work now. Honestly, this has more questions than answers. I guess this is one of those moments where it's like, don't think about it too hard. They're giving you an item to summon with lore. Be happy. I just realized, yeah, this frontal area is in ruins. I guess because of the water? I suppose? There has to be a reason they let us come out here, right? Like, I can... There has to be some platforming trick. No? Looks like it's just a balcony. Let's see. Oh yeah, I've been wondering if the larval tears are supposed to still be alive. Does the JP script clarify that? I think it says they're half living. Like, let me check the English real quick. Gosh, I need to brush up on all my lore, because remembering this stuff off the top of my head has not been very good lately. This is what happens when you translate stuff like months ago and you don't reference it regularly in analysis. Honestly, probably the biggest deciding factor on whether or not I should do analyses. Larval tier, is it under here? Or is it under key items? Oh, there it is, yeah. Core of a creature mimicry known as a silver tier. As much as substance is a living organism. Yes, I believe, if I recall correctly, this is accurate. It does say that it's living. It's both essentially a thing, like, they say substance, but, like, it's basically both a non-living thing and a living thing, as it were, right? Because it's made of, it's made of silver, but it's alive, right? There are buildings built into the ceiling, if I recall, as well. I think Marika existed as herself before she ever got the Elden Ring, Adolphus. Let's see what Adolphus has to say. To be honest, if Radigan is just Marika without the Elden Ring, since it's specific to a form, perhaps then he was just plain Newman. I think Adolphus is just speaking in terms of the idea of what would be Radigan's lineage or whatever. Like, what would you consider Radigan in terms of, like, status or whatever? And personally, again, I stand by what I've said before. Godhood, I think, in this universe is just a status when it comes to Marika. Similar to, like, with Gwyn. Or the gods of Anor Londo or all that. I think the entire, I think the only quote-unquote actual gods, at least as far as we know so far, it would be the Greater Will and the Outer Gods. Let's see. Aren't those armor thrusters you ran? Are you arcane? And your arcane is only 9? Yes, my arcane is only 9. I'm sorry, Pastor. I'm sorry I keep on picking up these extremely rare items casually like it's nothing. I apologize. Nocron area generally has the stuff that possibly implies sinking Noxtel. It looks way more stable. Nocron we're talking about. See, the problem with the saying Nocron is that it's very obvious Nocron is just built on the ancient dynasty ruins that already exist. So, like, yeah, no. Yeah, no. I still would say, yeah, hell no. It's still built, like, especially, like, when you get to, like, the aqueduct stuff and parts. Like, there's just so much of this, including, like, the sluice gates that we see here. Like, there's just so much of these cities where it's like, yeah, I'm not convinced with the whole sinking theory. You know what that does bug me, though, is this. This keeps me up at night. What the hell is all this, chat? Developers, if you want to convince me that these are actual people, stop revealing the bottoms of these little statue plates you made for them. If these are supposed to be like petrified people, do that. And if they're not supposed to be, then make it obvious for all of them. Why are you confusing me so? Ah! So even after you kill the silver tier, the life form is still alive as larval tier in your inventory? I think that would be the implication, yeah. Let me double check just to make sure. What I'm reading in the English, at least. Core of a creature of mimicry known as a silver tier, as much as... Yep, that would be the idea. It's both substance and alive. Material required by the amber egg created by Renala for birthing people anew. Yep, okay, yeah. Yeah, the implication would be that it's still alive, at least to some extent. Again, I'll have to double check the JP and get back to you in case there's anything different, but from what I recall, the English for this was pretty on point. I'm locking onto some... Oh, I see now. Well, I was just like, I see an empty room, I'm like, okay, what's gonna drop down on me? Really? That's it? Just him? Okay. Great Ghost Glove Ward. They really love their Glove Ward, huh? But they got all these blue flames. Let's see. Yes, Loki, brush up on the lore, do the analysis. John just slowly in the... Yes, soon, he should cover the entire game, and then make oodles of cash, releasing another book. I thought the Nameless City got messed up by Estelle. Yeah, that'd be my opinion. Necron has lots of sudden street droppings off into cliffs, an entire area that once has big trees, but got flooded and so on. Noxtel looks carefully made for the most places as a contrast. Again, I still think that it looks very clearly built on the solid foundations of existing rock and is not the product of a sinking event. I could totally accept that Noxtrella or Nocron or any of that are in ruins. I mean, we just got around talking to how the beginning section of Noxtella has ruined buildings and stuff. So again, I have no problem with that. But the actual layout of the cities and the way they're constructed into the environment does not read to me as, oh yeah, these sank underground with their people. It reads to me more like their people went underground and then they built the cities. Which again makes sense because the Japanese descriptions for the Nox going underground makes a point to talk about them as a people group, not as a city or a civilization or the Eternal Cities or any of that. In fact, the entire point of calling them the Eternal Cities only seems to make sense in the context that they were built underground in the rock for eternity, in night. Interesting that we find a 6 here, but I guess it's a one-off. This is the alleyway, I think, with all the snake things, if I recall. So we're getting a little deeper. The underground areas seem to have lots of ghosts and glaive Govort, even Nocron and Noxtella. Like the underground is innately tied to the dead or something. I wouldn't be surprised if it has to do with the lack of sunlight, more so, Night Scout. Again, if you've noticed, a lot of the silvery stuff all happens where the sun don't shine. So, like, the silvery glowing, like, flowery foliage we got, the silvery items we can pick from different flowers and stuff. Like, see these, the glowing silver bits here. Right. So it seems to generally be an idea that silver is associated with the cosmos when there's an absence of light from the sun. And then gold, of course, when you have the Erdtree or the sun involved, is how we get all the normal foliage above ground, right? Oh, is there a path out here that I missed? Oh, I did not go in here proper. I did not check. Oopsie. Oh, look at that. It's... Stop giving birth! No wonder they call you a silver tier mother or whatever it is. Kill them. Yes, 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 yes! Good, Mom. Another larval tier. There we go. For the sinking theory, I think however Nocron sank, some supernatural mercy spared it enough to be livable, so it wasn't just like Iron Keep is fucked. I don't know about that. I think it's just again, my general impression is that the Eternal Cities basically destroyed themselves, at least so far. That's my impression there. And they seem to have fallen into ruin as a result. So, like, it's only the priests and the priestesses and their guards, right? All the regular folk were all, like, using experiments or some shit. That's my general impression, and that's why we see stuff that might be in ruins or all that. Because, like, hey, nobody's actually living there anymore. What do you got? More somber smithing stone, yeah. I don't remember if Nokron had a lot of somber smithing stone, though. I know we find it in mine places, along with normal smithing stone, which again makes sense because of all the underground mining and stuff. So I wouldn't be surprised if some of that energy, with the lack of sunlight, doesn't causes color fading. Is that it? We covered it? Yeah, it looks like we covered from coast to coast. Why on earth would the underground be associated with the undead? Burials, maybe. Let's see. An earthquake zone and originally from an actual sinking city. This doesn't really look like those buildings have been subject to either. Gotcha, Platty. Thank you for giving your expert take. Yeah. So we got all the water in the lake and stuff sort of affecting down here. And this is part of the... Yeah, this is still a continuation of the natural lake on top of that, huh? Interesting. Yeah. Oh. What about... I think this is different from the Wandering Mausoleum holes, but just referencing it just in case. Gotta take a screenshot. Ugly-ass low poly faces. Oh, look, you can see possible comparison with this. Yeah, we're gonna got that. Look at all these maybe not people. Yeah, see, like, stuff like this makes me doubt that it's all, like, natural statues, right? But then they show the bases to some of these, and you're like, what? Why'd you do this to me? They experimented on the janitors. Exactly, John. Liurna gave me more sinking vibes than either named Eternal City. Yeah, I agree there. The nameless Eternal City gives more sinking vibes than the actual extant, quote-unquote, Eternal Cities. Because at least with this one, you could clearly tell that's fully in ruins, in part because of Estelle, and in part probably because of all the water and stuff, right? That's the same idea with Liurnia, right? The lake has been allowed to go out of control and start sinking all of these ruins and stuff, right? So that I'll understand. Same thing with, like, Shaded Castle, right? We see all the poison swamp stuff, and it's caused the buildings to be destabilized, and they're starting to sink, right? The idea that, like, the Greater Will to cause this mass sinking event for Noxtella, of all places. Like, to use, like, again, not to beat on TA, but to use TA as an example, his main argument here is because, like, I think he says he sees, like, a big opening space here, and I'm like, these are two different cliffs. Like, there's this, like, you see this line here? This is a giant-ass cliff here. So, you're trying to tell me that you had a city on two different levels of cliff, and then it sank, and yet it's all here on basically one level? The way that it's all set. Like, it's silly. It's just absolutely silly. I just don't buy this idea. Oh. Silver tier? Oh no. The silver tiers become those mercenary guys. Whatever will I do? There we go. Ow! There we go. See ya, sucker. Anything for killing both of you? Nope. Okay. Another throne, huh? What a shocker. Their giant church is a throne. I'm not seeing anything else. Alright, so... Okay, bring on the secret boss that's gonna spawn as soon as I loot this, right? Moon of Noxtella? Oh, there has to be a boss. Come on. Come on. No? Wow. Actually surprised. I was waiting for, like, a Dragonkin soldier to, like, teleport in or some shit. Nothing personal, kid. Oh, I just noticed this, too. Coolio, more of this. We're gonna go back here quickly. Where's the water otter god at? I think that's what the fairies are supposed to be for, John. Like the fairies of the rivers, right? Because those that don't know, Shifra and Ainsel are the names of fairies in, I think they're Celtic names. And then different kinds of fairies. And then, obviously, they come from here. So it's possible that this is the water otter god, hence why the water is spawning from this area. And then the rivers are like fairies, so they're like maybe extensions, like they're kind of like envoys perhaps of the water outer god. That's the best I can think of. Let's see. The shallow wetlands that they're calling the shallow wetlands they're calling a lake. Yeah, lakes in FromSoft games. Either they're infinite drop pits of death, or they're really shallow like wetlands that you can easily like consider like puddle deep. Let's see. Oh yeah, I think Gowry has a line where he calls the Sellians descendants of the Eternal. Is it possible that the Nox move back to the surface to become the Sellians, or are they figurative descendants, or it's just localization liberty? I recall it being something like you said, a descendant of the Eternal. Descendant can be used in a abstract sense, so it isn't necessarily literal, but it can be used that way too. So I think the fact that they say descendants of the Eternal, as in the Eternal City, tells me the idea is it's more like a colony than necessarily like, oh, a bunch of Nox went up above ground and they intermingled with the locals, right? Maybe they did. I'm just not saying that. I don't think that's strictly necessary to make this case with regards of descendants. Like, we have the chair crypt here, right? And that has the two Nox that are just seemingly Nox. Meanwhile, we have all the ghosts who look like, we have all these ghosts that look like just plain old, Rhea Lucarian sorcerers. And I think there's some references in Rhea Lucaria stuff about certain schools coming to Celia or whatever. So, reads to me like, what we got here is a bunch of Rhea Lucarians, meeting up with the Nox, and they basically establish their own joint colony or whatever. I don't know if that means that the any of the Sellians are descendants of Nox and Rhea Lucar, or let's say Liurnians interbreeding. But I think at the very least you have a case where the two are culturally in contact here, and it's quite possible that what we see with the swordsman or swordstress, as the localization calls her, and the monk is a sign that there is this sort of cultural colonization happening here at Celia. We also know it has some connection to the Estelle thing, right? Because there's this guy that's locked away with an Estelle sorcery that's forbidden or whatever, right? So, or at least a sorcery, I should say, based off Estelle. Oh yeah, this is a good time to check this, huh? Ah, look at that! They have the Lindell windows. I'm pretty sure these are the same windows you see in Lindell. Cool to know. Yeah, so you do get the idea that there is some cultural distinction here, because it isn't just Eternal City style, it's its own thing that we'll see in other places. Ordina might be in the same boat. It might be this was also another kind of colony by the... Oh, wow. There we go. Could be that Ordina was the same idea. Maybe Ordina was established in order to make contact with the Stargazers here. It's kind of like a mixture of Stargazer people, so it's like, hey, further down the mountaintops. That could be the idea. There'd be a lot more ruin and irregularity to the structure if it was sunken rather than built into environment. Yeah, that's what I would think, Botkai. This looks much like statues as the ones with bases. People don't really stack like that, even if they were being turned into ash instantly. Yeah, the thing is, though, Platty, with that detail, is that we could also have to consider artistic license. That the developers are just, like, trying to make a visual striking point, not necessarily make something that makes strictly 100% sense. Like, you can say the same thing about the graveyard, like, here there's the graves on the walls, right? Like, who builds graves horizontally into the walls of the people you're burying, right? Like, that doesn't make much sense. Why would you do that when you can just do it vertically? Well, obviously, because it creates that very iconic image of us on Torrent, or even without Torrent, platforming down a bunch of giant graves that are on the walls, right? Like, it's a very provocative image. It doesn't necessarily make 100% sense in lore, but the general idea of, oh, it's a graveyard, okay. I just, that's how I generally look at it when I'm doing analysis on stuff. I'm like, okay, look at all these graveyards along the highway as we go south through Limgrave, not, hey, look, some of these are on the walls. I guess, I don't know, there were a bunch of soldiers who had gravity magic or whatever, right? And they decide to honor them by burying them in the way of their gravity magic. Like it's just like, you'd have to bend over backwards to try to explain that detail. Anyway, where's the water god at? I can see the statues being failed experiments that are now treated as statues, like kind of a taxidermy, but still intentionally placed rather than just as though it's the last resting place. Yeah, I don't, maybe that could be a detail. Again, it looks too much to me like almost like this terrible experiment thing, and it's like, you know, they bubble up and they become these terrible monstrosities sticking out of different areas or whatever. But again, I have to do a proper analysis of the Nox before I like settle down on the specifics. Oh, let's see. The moon of Noxtella is a fascinating item. It seems to have 2 Lyrian cuckoos atop it. Let's take a look at that. Yeah, here we go. Increases memory slots. Yeah, I can see that. It has 2 almost cuckoo-like birds atop. I wonder if that's significant at all, or if that's just a remnant of an old concept. Oh, the Lost Black Moon. Moon of Noxtella was the guide of countless stars. Very interesting, yeah. It makes you wonder if the cuckoos, because they come from Liurnia, if it's a hint at how Liurnia was influenced by Noxian culture. Something to think about. There's fairies in game. Not in game, I don't think we meet them, but they're referenced in relation to the Blue Swordsman, who's obviously all about flowing water as a symbolism, which of course rivers are that. And obviously the fairies are the person who taught him his flowing style. Because, of course, again, if fairies are the rivers... If fairies are, like, avatars of the outer god of water, represented through the individual rivers... Again, that ties into the idea of the Aintzell River flowing into this area. And having helped clear out the decay and the rot, right? But then, of course, the Nox come in, they build their cities, and they ultimately decide they want to build a sluice gate that they close... Basically leaving all of this to be consumed by the rot. Again, could be part of another experiment of theirs. I could totally see that being the case. Let's see. Yeah, Night Scouts making a point about that. The water god will be with Mikla and will be the formless mother, completely shocked at Mog. Mog's like, this isn't, but mother! And like, formless mother's like, this isn't what I meant, darling. I didn't want you to use my blood. I want you to just use your flowing liquids, period. Let's see. The Wandering Swordsman in blue, blah, blah, blah. I had no idea. Well, now you know, John. Bakai, yeah, someone from the Great Lakes area. FromSoft does understand how non-oceanic bodies of water work, which I never realized until now. The fact that Celia seems to specialize in assassination being hidden might imply trying to sneak back to the surface or having a grudge. Alternatively, a bunch of killers want Nox arts. That's true. A bunch of killers might be involved. I actually haven't thought too deeply about why Celia developed the way it did, but considering that the Nox are all about like revenge on the Greater Will and stuff, I would not be surprised. There's also the, I believe if I recall from Smotown's videos, there's this idea of the what are they called? Right, the Black Knife Assassins, that they all came from Celia, because they're also described as descendants, much like the Celians are described as descendants of the Eternal. Or I should say Celia, the city, is described as a descendant of the Eternal. So it's like, okay, so you have this city, which is a descendant from the Eternal City, and then you have these assassins who are also described as being descendants from the Nox or whatever, or at least the Eternal Cities or something like that. And it's like, oh, okay, so maybe there's a connection there where you have these quote-unquote descendants living at Celia, and they're hired and become the Black Knife Assassins for Ronnie, which again, I could totally buy that. Let's see. The fact that Celia seems to specialize assassinations are being hidden for a business edge. That's true. Business could be the deciding factor as well. The thing is that you have this town that's kind of out of the way in the boonies, because we have to remember, all of this wasn't really settled. It used to be Farm Azula somewhere here, right? So you have Farm Azula probably like here-ish. Oh. Let's get out of here where there's just all these sorcerers getting my way. So you have Farm Azula, and that was pretty much it, right? It took what's his face, Godfrey and Marika banishing some of the Farm Azulan colonists on the plateau down into Stormvale, and then those penal colonists rebelling, and then spreading across the land for all of this to become more than just a frontier land that no one populated, right? It very much seemed... Ooh. I did not even pay attention to the weapons here. I wonder, do we have more Banished Knight stuff to go along with the whole Commander Niall thing over there, which would make tons of sense? Again, I'm going to start... Loki's going to start looking every corner of the land to find weapons and shit like this. Yep, there we go. It's the same copy-pasted Exile Soldier and stuff, so yeah. I could totally buy that there. Coolio. Anyway. Let's see, where was I? Ah, yeah, so the entire idea of the Celians existing here and developing assassinations wouldn't be that surprising considering how remote they are. Like, the closest thing they have is Farm Azula, and then everything else is all the way up here in Liurnia at the time that it's being established, probably. Anyway, I figured the horizontal graves just ended up like that because some cataclysm in the shattering makes the ground got messed up. The tombs would presumably have once been normally... Again, it just looks too clean, if that's what the argument is. Oh, some terrible event or cataclysm caused all of these to become perfectly horizontal. Like, yeah, no. Especially considering that the way I see it, these graves are way too recent for some cataclysm. I would argue this is a sign of a battle which occurred in this ravine during the last era of Godfrey's reign. So again, we'd be talking about going, basically, they take Stormvale, they clear out all the way up Storm Hill, and then we start going down south. Obviously conquer this little grave town that helps prepare the burials for Hero's Grave, and probably the catacombs and all that. Anyway, so you have all that, you have all the burial stuff up here and around here, right? Then you head the path down south, and you can see it here, right? Like, graveyard, 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 graveyard. Obviously, even coffins up here. Graveyard. Like, all of this stuff is, like, graveyard. And then you have all the graves here, right? So it's a very obvious idea that as you trace the path of the highway that Godfrey's men would be setting up as they march downward, you have all these battles and stuff happening with the Banished Knights and things. Obviously, then you have the bridge, take over the bridge, move your way down. Obviously, there's, again, more idea of catacombs and conflict here, so it's, like, around this area where they would be building these catacombs and stuff. And then you move further down, and you have the two graveyards here, right? And they take the wall. We have some sense of a battle here, probably, to take this village. Still not sure about up here, though, again, we do have some of the graves up here and down here by the tower. So I would say probably yes. And then, of course, you have the big battle at Morn Castle with the graveyard back there, and then the Morn Siege, so... I figured the Liurnia's long-tailed cat, Lacrima, is also a fairy. Moog does grow wings like a fairy. Is the Snow Witch a fairy? Oh my god, we're so stuck on this fairy thing. I feel Celia might be after Farm Azula split off. Otherwise, their boonies hideaway is on the doorstep of a big city. Not really, because we have to also... well, maybe kind of, because there is, like, the cliff is here, but there isn't that far from this bridge, at least. I don't know, I still think that it's probably far enough away to be considered pretty out of the way remote. But let's see. I guess it depends on when Farm Azula fell proper, right? Again, this sort of depends on with the Ancient Dragon War. How much are the dragons acting independently from, like, Placidus Axe or whatever you... Anyway, Snow Witch is weird for real. Is that so, Adolphus? Let's see. Elden Ring's broken. If it made the world literally work, maybe stuff got warped that way. It's certainly a fascinating image, but it might have a reason. ER probably isn't stitching Earth together. Too hard, though. Yeah, I don't think the whole Elden Ring being broken is warping the land or anything like that. That I don't think. What we see with the Elden Ring broken, they make a point about how the Erd Tree itself is less bright than it used to be. And that seems to be about it. I'm not convinced that it's like, oh, okay, the entire land is now warping and changing to justify, say, these graves or maybe some other small things. This definitely looks to me like a rather rational preset land map or what have you. And then we have all this history being smashed on top of it. I don't think there's this whole, oh, there's all this land cataclysm. The most I would say for cataclysm would be here. If there was a cataclysm, this would be it. Because they have this entire area flooded or what have you, right? And I could see this being a case of Estelle as a meteor comes crashing down through the front door, destroys this eternal city that way, and then we move on. That's the best I could come up with in terms of like cataclysmic, earth-shattering events. Obviously, there's also stuff like, of course, the rot, but that's like a little separate classification I would put. Yeah, we still have this stuff up here. I don't think we're missing anything now, right, chat? We've got Noxtella. We got these graves. We've got the Mistwood, so this is when they do the Eastern March, right? So that we have evidence that they basically, there's the giant graveyard here, so they fight here and capture probably this town to help head off any Kaled supply forces that might be trying to reinforce Fort Height. So they do the Eastern March, they come down here, kill all these guys here, take the Mistwood ruins, again, probably more like a waypoint almost. But anyway, these ruins get captured, and then Fort Height gets captured, and then of course we see the graveyard here, with the coffins and the graves on the side. And then you move up this way, again, this is past the Church of Merrick area, so they go climb up here, and they can mount their assault from here now, and then that's where we get the first, the last land of Godfrey's battles, where basically he seems to capture all of this territory. I guess you could include this too, technically. Yeah, so we get Fort Faroth. I wonder if that's what this this separate graveyard here is for the Fort Faroth people. Interesting to think about. Because, like, you have this, there's no graveyard around it, but there is this at the foot here, and it's separate from the giant graveyard over here, which would presumably be the Celia stuff. Obviously, you have the graves at the Celia Gate itself, and the Celia Gateway is a, it's the same gateway used here with Stormgate. I can't think of any other gates that are built this way either. Yeah. Yeah, I see towers. I have to include this in my analysis because this seems to be another, like, towering thing to look over all the Dominula land. Yeah, I'm not seeing anything else that would be, like, gates that we see in down south. Only 2 of them. Kind of curious. I'm so sorry, Loki. You're gonna have so much to cover, Lamau. Y'all make me think about shit I really didn't think to bring to mind. Well, thanks, Adolphus. I'm glad to at least be provoking your brain so you can think for yourself on this type of stuff. What do you think caused Estelle to arrive at the Eternal Cities? That's actually a very good question, Night Scout. I, myself, really don't know. I mean, I guess you could say maybe, the Nox pissed off a star, and, like, Estelle was that star, or stars, that got sent down, to deal with it. Like, I guess that could be it. Maybe an outer god got pissed because of the whole Black Moon thing. But then why not go after the other cities? Why just the one? Like, it's a very, very curious. And again, this, I feel like the best way to establish that is if we could figure out the timing of when the city got broken, right? So, like, for example, if this... Oh my god, you. There we go. So if this was caused by Estelle, for example, and then, like, more got, like, I don't know, flooded the area to cover it up or whatever, I don't know. And this is how Estelle got in, which I don't think is necessarily true. I think Estelle could theoretically have just warped in, right? Oh, right. I do think that's possible. But let's just say, for the sake of argument, that this is how Estelle got in, just crashed right through the front of Lindell to go straight into the Eternal City. If that's the case, then that would have to date this to after the second defense of Lindell, because we clearly see during the story trailer that the second defense of Lindell with Godric's forces are trying to assault the main gate here. So that would make no sense if this gate was already this gate was already compromised and there was no way to open it or enter or anything like that. So I think it would suggest that at the very least this part of the city was still around. At which point we could then make the argument that the Godric and company, when he's making his flight from the capital or whatever, right? This would all be already known about if it was destroyed. And therefore it has to occur afterward, right? So this would tell us that this Eternal City being destroyed is relatively recent. Which again makes some sense because we see the destroyed gargoyle guys here. Let's go there, in fact. Which makes sense because it's like, oh, these are some of the surviving gargoyles of the Lindell capital, which were partially destroyed during Estelle's like reign of destruction, right? That's why we see like two like whole gargoyles over here, right? Because the idea is that these guys down the waterfall were some of the survivors escaping the wrath of Estelle, and then the rest of them here were not able to move because they were just too damaged, right? But again, that's just for the sake of argument of trying to say, okay, yeah, this is how Estelle got in. Again, I could still be right on the general timing, but it could just be that Estelle just warped inside, and that's not really good evidence on that front. Could be related to, I don't know, the fact that it's covered in water might be because, you know, the Erdtree's burning and this entire front section got on fire or something, right? Like, something like that. Fun fact, Estelle has a cut attack where he comes down like a meteor like Radon. Ooh. I think I recall Zuli covering some of that. I almost said Zully. No, we're the cooler Zuli. Let's see. Maybe the Nameless City really pissed off Estelle the Estelle Outer God thing. Like, it could be that there's an Outer God who sent Estelle. Yeah, I'm totally okay with that. It could also just be happenstance, to be honest. Like, one thing we didn't... No, you know what? The problem with the happenstance argument... See, the problem with the happenstance argument is we see the idea of Estelle's possibly forming over time from falling star beasts, right? Like, that's the idea of the Estelle and Yellow Anis, right? That the Estelle there would have to be the result of a falling star beast, which has been left to gestate for a long, long time underground in that mine, right? And therefore, when it's uncovered, it becomes this horrible monster that attacks all the miners and stuff, right? But until then, it's just basically been left dormant. Is that the case, then, that we would have a fully formed Estelle just coming down here? Like, I have to double check all the lore text, see if we have anything on that. Or is it something like, maybe the Eternal Cities disturbed a meteor site that an Estelle had long been growing at, and then that Estelle was like, ooh, starry sky with glintstone. I'll take that. Maybe that's the idea, and then it warped it all away. Because it has, like, that teleportation with gravity magic, right? The Fingerslayer Blaze description says that it's the treasure of Nokron, and that this blood-drained fish is proof of the high trees that could be the Eternal City and symbolizing its downfall. So you think it might be something that was taken from the nameless Eternal City, and then Nokron claimed it for themselves and started storing it away? Maybe. Do you think this could possibly relate to Estelle? Yes, I think it could. It could. Because the thing is, it's completely possible that stuff like Forbidden Darkness, for example, right? There is no connection between Celia all the way down here and the Nameless Eternal City all the way up here. If anything, there'd be a Nokron connection, right? Just in terms of location. Like, Mog's obviously taken over this place now, but you could easily see a case for the Nox having a way up here and making contact, right? So I could easily see the idea that the Nox, with their waterfall leading all the way down to the Nameless Eternal City, right? So it's like, woo! So like stuff like the Fingerslayer Blade or whatever might find its way down, or they find their way up the waterfall or what have you to go visit. And this results in them claiming some of the relics of that city for themselves. And then that's how, say, this criminal or whoever here who's locked in this tower is able to know how to craft a sorcery based on Estelle because of, like, I don't know, personal experience studying the ruins or the aftermath. Or maybe it's some survivors who became refugees in Nokron. Like, there's different ways you could definitely interpret that. Don't you just love a fake history? Fake history is the best. What are we talking about with fake history now? Oh, I guess because the entirety that we're talking about a fake history with just the game, right? I guess that makes sense, yeah. Well, again, literary, games or fictional histories are, yeah, I wouldn't say fake, I'd say fictional, but fictional histories are generally, they're generally interesting because they're more limited than real history, right? Like, yeah, the only facts you have are the facts that the writer thinks up to tell you or share with you. And in the case of Miyazaki, it's at least being used as the building blocks, being like, well, here's all the evidence that you need. You can fill in the gaps yourself using all this. Let's see. Come to think of it, sometimes S and Z get used in place of each other for some terms. Ozaru in Dragon Ball is just Osaru or Great Monkey Ape. Yeah, there is some cases in Japanese where certain sounds will change depending on how they're combined with other kanji or what have you. Demigod history going to be neat to see covered. Yeah, I don't know if I'm ever going to get to individual demigods at the rate I'm going. Like, I'm still stuck on Godfrey's reign. Because I keep on finding new details I got to go back and add and fix. So maybe game Zully is literally witch named Sully. Funny, if so, in light of Selva. No, okay, no, this is different. Zully, in fact, Sully, or Zully, is written with a J sound, Jadi. So it's Jadi, right? And then Alva is written with a B sound, Alba, or Aruba. This is, now the BV distinction is common in Japanese. It's like the LR distinction, where it's very common for you to translate stuff with a B to a V in English, even with fictional names and stuff. So, again, I only mentioned the Alba B meaning because obviously Alba means white, and there's kind of a meaning there, and that's why I put that in my analysis. But when it comes to just the general idea of Alva and Zully, I have no problem with the localization rendering those names like that, because B and V is very common. J is a little less common, but you do see it at times where J sounds will be translated as an S or a Z or something like that, right? It's very weird, but the J is kind of softer. Like, we think of J, but instead it's kind of almost like an in-between a J and a Z. And sometimes in romanizations by Japanese, you'll see the J rendered as a Z. Like, it happens every now and then. But, yeah. Again, I have no problem with the way the localization handled those names. It's just funny to me how everyone pronounces it Zuli, even though the localization was probably hoping that you would pronounce it like Sully, so it'd be like Zully and Alva. Very funny to think about. Anyway. I mean the Finger Slayer blade seems to always have been tied to Nokron and is tied to its downfall, yet the Finger Slayer blade seems like it's tied to why the Nox were sent underground. I don't know about that specifically, because the way Eternal City is used in the Japanese is it leaves it vague in many cases, right? Because there's not just one Eternal City, right? There's 2 or 3. So I don't know if it's necessarily tied to Nokron, unless Nokron is referenced by name. I don't think it is, though, but I'll have to double check. Let's see. So I'm curious how much of Nokron's downfall is getting banished, how much might be Estelle or something, and what each Nox offense might be. I see. So you're going with the idea of, okay, well, maybe the idea is that the Nox being banished underground. I don't think so. I think it might be relating to the nameless Eternal City. Because again, we have to keep in mind, whenever it uses the term Eternal City, it's using it in a vague sense where it could be referring to multiple Eternal Cities, or it could just be referring to a Eternal City, or it could be referring to the one and only Eternal City. Again, I don't know if there even is that at this point in the timeline, but like, there's multiple ways to interpret the statement in the Japanese version, right? So, a lot of times you'll see the localization translated in singular, because that's just the simplest way to do it, than trying to assume whether it's referring to a specific Eternal City, or to multiple Eternal Cities at the same time, or just the Eternal Cities in general, right? Like that's just a lot of extra computation the localization does not want to deal with. They just want to translate and be like, okay, it says Eternal City, we'll say Eternal City, we'll say the Eternal City, and we'll leave it at that. Which, again, I think is fair. But that's why I say, like, I don't think that his Finger Slayer blades necessarily have to do with Nokron, unless it's mentioned by name. Yeah, like BV, like with, why an adventure of Link boss was called, Barba when the name was Volva. Yeah, like, stuff like that happens, right? When you're, translating and localizing and stuff, like, sometimes you don't pick up on all the possible ways you could render that. So it's like the Nox pissed the Greater Will off, probably by making the Finger Slayer blade and killing it 2 fingers, and that probably got the mission to grow. I would assume that has to be the case. In fact, here's my thought. The Nox, being destroyed and basically forced underground occurs around the same period that the giant, and again, we could be talking about very wide eras here, right? So I'm not necessarily saying these are like events that happen like at the same time. I'm just saying they happen in the general same period. As the giants taking over the mountaintops, because they both use a very specific term that basically means like great olden times or something like that, and I render it in my translations as ancient times, right? Which is, again, generally when you see ancient, it usually just uses furui, which again, it can mean ancient, but it can also just mean something that's vaguely old. So like I always use the example of, it could be like it could be referring to old like a million years. It could be referring old to like, oh hey, you want to leave that old covenant you just joined 5 minutes ago, right? Like it's a very broad term. And localizers for not just Dark Souls or FromSoft, but like in general, like to use ancient, especially because, you know, that adds like gravitas, but it's not necessarily how it's it can and should be read, right? This is why sometimes when you watch when you play JRPGs and they'll talk about something being ancient, and then you're like, oh wait, that's only like 200 years ago or something. That's not that ancient, right? That tends to be why, because furui is used, or at least the kanji furu is being used, but it's not being used to mean something that's strictly ancient. It can, but it's not strictly being used that way. But in terms of this term used for the Nox being sent underground and the giants taking over the mountaintops from the dragons, this term is used to mean a great ancient or a great old, right? So it's not just, oh, it's not just a normal furu, it's now like a big old, older version that the writer is trying to convey to you. And it's a lot more specific of a term inherently compared to some other words which just vaguely mean stuff like, oh, a long time ago, or time immemorial, or like there's various ways you can render it, but it's like, you know, it basically just means vaguely long time ago. Like, okay, at some point in the past. Well, wonderful. That's so informative for us on what exactly we're doing, right? Not at all. Let's see. Let's see. Platy, what if the Estelle existed before Noxtella reached it, and they dammed off the lake, and then the lake rotted after? There's buildings there that were mostly likely built before it rotted. Ooh, let's go back. That sounds Platy like my theory, so let me read your thing again during the loading screen, just to make sure I understand right. What if the Estelle existed before Noxtella reached it, and they, before Noxtella reached it? Okay, yeah, and they dammed off the lake, and then the lake rotted after. There's buildings there that were most likely built before it rotted. Alright, so to give my opinion on this again. I think there was an ancient dynasty here, complete with a forest from the river. So I think the river always existed. I think that I think, or at the very least, if the river didn't always exist, it came to exist by the time the rock goddess... No, actually, I think the river did always exist because we have all this here, and this only makes sense if there was already a water flow here, right? Okay, so there's always this river. There's always the Einsel River, and it's flowing through here, right? And there's a bunch of trees that were here, much like we see on the consecrated snowfield and in Nokron with the Shifa River, right? Like, there's all these trees here that are, like, unique to these river areas. So these river areas probably had the same thing here, right? This was all true. Oh, wait! We never finished Lake of Rot, so we do that today, chat. Woo! Thank you for the reminder. Also, because we're gonna have to do this now. Yeah, item craft. Yeah, this is for Scarlet Rot. Thank you. Over here. And then we do this. Perfect. Anyway, so Scarlet Rot and all that comes last. The ancient dynasties were built here on top of the Ainsel River and all that, right? Then they discover Rock God or whatever, and they end up falling to ruin, right? Flowing Swordsman comes in, seals Rock God, and the river is here to clear out and help keep the rot at bay, right? Because it's a river, it's flowing water, brings everything down, yada, 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 right? Like, it's the idea that it's this cleansing area. Then the Nox come in after the dynasties are all gone, right? And they establish themselves down here. They built the sluice gate, and they close it in order to, I guess, experiment with the rot or whatever. And then this causes the rot to spread the way we see it now, and it's become this giant thing. that is my perspective as far as the relation between the different civilizations, the river, and the rock are concerned. Although Estelle then devastating the Eternal City, such city seems like a wild card, hence why some people believe Estelle was somehow tied to the banishment and might have taken their literal sky. See, the thing is, the problem with the banishment and all that is, like, if you're being banished underground, that means that they're banished underground, but then they have the entire city being built here on this normal stuff, but then the sky gets taken, but only for one of the like, I don't see that. I'll be honest, I'm thinking more and more now, it could just be something as simple as there was already a meteor that struck here long ago, Estelle was already there, and then it was dormant, and maybe an outer god or something awakened it to attack here, and it began running wild. I don't know, I gotta now look at all the text and stuff and start seeing how we can arrange this. Because that's just a lot of information that I'm having to remember off the top of my head. Oh yeah, another thing. A lot of the roots down here in Deep-Root Depths are actually growing branches with leaves. Curious sight. Well, you know, I'm not surprised. They need some variety, but very cool either way. Here's the real question. Why is there a random ancestral follower in the Lake of Rot? Because the idea would be that after the ancient dynasties were destroyed, but the rivers are here, some of their descendants still became ancestral followers. But with the Rot taking over, all the ancestral followers, save one, I guess he had immunity, survive, right? Now, I would have liked it if it was that, if they made it the Rot ancestral followers that we see in the cut content, but whatever, right? Like, it's fine. If I recall correctly, there's a thing up here, right? That we never got to. So let's fix that. Wait a second, chat. I just realized. I don't have it on me. Whatever. Yeah, I don't want to waste my boluses, so we're gonna do this real quick, chat. I think the stair or whatever we're supposed to take is like here somewhere, right? I forgot. There was a ladder you guys mentioned. Was it supposed to be on this side or? Lake of Rot's my favorite swamp map. I hate you, I am. Pink for Rot. Would still probably be easier to use Flame Cleanse Me. Maybe the Grafted Rune to get those free 5 points to hit the requirements. It's fine, Platy. We'll survive. I have enough boluses, I think. Why is there black key bolts suggesting a confessor has been here? Ooh, that's an interesting idea. Why would a confessor come down here? Maybe in interest of the rock god for some reason? I still gotta deal with this boy at some point. Oh, boy. Wait, no, it's probably because they were making, rot bolts. Oh, do they use those, Xavier? Do we see confessors using rot bolts? I guess that makes sense if they're assassins. I could see the Nameless City being banished and sunken because there's an actual chasm above it and the buildings are actually wrecked. I suppose. The problem is that I don't think we see too much with the equivalent up here. And the, there's a lot of, obviously there's the whole idea that the Langdell and the city were in contact before then. So, like, hence the destroyed gargoyles here, right? So I don't know. I don't know if that whole Sinkin theory squares with that, those details. Lake of Rot reminds me of the skin of Fog Rays in Dark Souls 1. There are various switches that raise more platforms. They might not all be up yet. I think we got all the ones on this side, though. Or did I miss any? It could be that I have to get some of those further down over there. Black key bolts are rot bolts. Ah, I see, Platy. Okay. I thought they would just be, like, a separate, like, special crossbow bolt that does more damage for, like, sniper crossbows or something, but gotcha. Just because my opinion is based on the lake doesn't make it bad, lol. I don't care what you have to say. Look at my situation right now. I don't care if you like the Lake of Rot. I have to suffer. So therefore, your opinion is bad. Crepus the Confessor uses Scarlet Raw stuff. Gotcha. They definitely aren't all up yet. There's a platform that surrounds the Dragonkin Soldier. Yeah, but that's for over there. I mean for getting up here, because, like, there was, like, a platform I could take up. I'm wondering if there's a ladder or something. Because I think one of you guys mentioned there was. But I don't see it from here. And I don't want to waste time exploring around with rot sickness. Whatever, I guess we'll keep going this way and see if that changes anything. Look, there's our buddy. There's our pal. There's our friend going off into the distance. He's got some immunity to the rot, apparently. That, or he's gonna very soon die. Landell might have only gone to the Nameless Eternal City once they decided to bury people near Erdtrues that instantly grew down there. I still don't think that explains the Gargoyles Night Scale. So there would be separate motives for Landell to visit. You have to see what's... Again, I still don't think that explains the destruction to the gargoyles down there. So, sorry, that just doesn't... I don't buy that. I don't buy that explanation for a second. I kind of like the Lake of Rot too, at least the look of... Oh yeah, it's beautiful. The art style and stuff for this game, it just has this beautiful, bright vibrancy. And the Lake of Rot's no different. I really do like it aesthetically. But in terms of me having to navigate it, no, my life is hell. I hate all of you who like it right now. Ooh. Okay, can I free aim this? This is the question. I actually think I can. Oh, you have got to be kidding me. Am I just out of range? Or is it that the range is, or is it the fact that the range is just, not gonna work until the enemy actually stands up? If so, ugh, I thought I could force him up. It's aesthetically pleasing. Yep, that's true, I am. Let's see. The Lake of Rot has a sense of great adventure, which helps with Rodney's side quests and for covering how serious the Scarlet Rot God can be, but it wisely makes itself a rather brief area, a slice of oh shit misery to him. Yeah, it's not the worst area in the world, that's for sure, but goddamn. Man, if you don't have boluses, this area is just awful. There's also an item you're missing from some ruins. There's a mushroom crown to snag. Ooh. Yeah, let's just do all this exploration here first, then. Gargoyles seem to be made out of corpse wax, and the sheer, well, not just corpse wax, it's corpse wax sealing together corpse parts, but gargoyles seem to be out of corpse wax, and the sheer death blight down there now might have affected the gargoyles as a result of it. It is curious, though. I don't think the death blight is the cause. Just call me crazy. I don't think the death blight's the cause. GG, free aiming it. It would have hit if you were close enough. Yeah, it would have. But apparently I'm just out of range. Honestly, I feel like the body, it almost hit the body, but whatever. Let's go this way. We're running low on this stuff, so we have to be careful. Does killing our friend here give us anything, or is it like whatever? Oh. Optional, not challenge. The lore fight. Wow, still does enough damage to kill you all. I like that. Hey, buddy! Get over here! Don't make me have to go over there and find you. Oh god, is there stuff back there? There might actually be stuff back there, huh? Ancient Dynasty! Why you gotta take over this entire gorge? Alright, chat, I'm doing this once, and never again. Scarlet Rot, Scarlet Rot. Gosh, my life is ruined by the Scarlet Rot. There we go. For a somber smithing stone 7. Why do I do this to myself? Why? Alright, we're going this way. Scarlet Rot, Scarlet Rot. Look at all those Aeonium butterflies. I can't wait for all the Deathblight guys to appear. Come on. I know you're here. Come on. I know it. Where are you? Oh, okay. Well, we found some new platforms, chat, so we can jump on those and hopefully be closer. We want to go here next. We'll go a little farther on this. I'm actually surprised. I was expecting a lot more basilisks. Game's being very forgiving for this section. It's really just the Scarlet Rot you gotta worry about. Oh, I'm not gonna make it in time. Darn. Don't mess up this jump, Loki. Please. I'm begging you. Ah, very pretty. I think you ran past the ladder. Darn it, John. Why? Why? Why am I like this? Worst katana in the game. You get a cool sword. Oh, is that so? So I guess we gotta kill him. You kill that ancestral kill that ancestral follower for the talisman. Blessed Dew talisman to help slow the pace of the dot. Ooh, I like that idea. This does more physical damage, so I think we can afford to lose that. We can put it back on when we... Yeah, there we go. Yeah, that could slow it down. Follower drops immunity talisman, by the way. Gotcha, Xavier. So the draconic tree sentinel horses might be using the perfumer tech to breathe fireballs without eating dragon hearts. Ooh, that's a cool idea. The warhawks that breathe fire also don't have the perfumer sparks with their device. Ooh, the sparks seem to be the signature of the perfumers, but it turns out the omen killers, including Roll the perfumer, use their fire breath without the sparks. That's some interesting stuff. I wonder if that is significant. The follower drops immunity talisman. Those ruins to the south have the mushroom crown. You'll just have to do a little platforming to get to it. Gotcha, Platy. Emperor of Gravelash. I hope they let you buy rot boluses in the DLC, but I also don't want another rot swamp in it. That would be interesting if we do Miquella's Dream, and Miquella's Dream has a bunch of rot swamps because it consumes his thoughts or something like that. Like, I could definitely see a lore explanation like that. Oh. Okay, so we have that, and that's where we're platforming. I'll be honest, I was expecting at least a little rot there, but... Ooh. Woo, woo. Yally-oop. Woohoo! Ah, is this our crown? Woo! Mushroom crown! Yay! But don't I already have this item? I could have swore I wore one when we were doing the thing, but I guess this could be like an alternate version. Oh, darn. 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 Alright, so where else in this area have I not explored, besides our friend? We know where he is, so we'll go here. Nah, you didn't run past it. Gotcha, John, thank you. Miquella's Dreams featuring Rot Swamps, Blood Flame Swamps, and Deathblight Swamps. Oh boy! Well, that will be something interesting, won't it? Huh, that basilisk dropped a butterfly. Oh, did he? I didn't even pay attention. That's interesting. I guess they like eating rot butterflies here in Deathblight Town. Also, I should have known the moment I saw these Deathblight guys that this area had a bunch of Erdtree roots, huh? Because I'm like, yeah, the ulcerated tree spirits, the Deathblight basilisk should have been the giveaway. I'm feeling a bit kind of... Actually, I'm kind of curious. Do we have any... And we don't have any catacombs or anything here. Like, the closest in terms of graveyard is the one in the Gate Town ruins. Interesting. I guess technically this area is a giant vacuous area, so the roots aren't necessarily up there. They're just down here. Curious still. Okay. So our friend should be somewhere over here, right? Alright, let's get ready to kill him. is he? There he is. Oh wow, he died first try. The immunizing horn charm. Well, I guess we know why our buddy here survived. There we go. Alrighty, so we go here. We do this. Alright, so we make sure we aim right square in the middle. And we do this. And he's dead. There we go. Phew! Man, tough boss. That rot really made it really difficult to have to navigate and platform around while fighting him. I don't know how I could have done that, chat. Dragon Scale Blade, huh? So this is the worst katana ever, huh? Golden Rune. Oh, Night Adelphus, good to see ya. Pasta la vista, my amigos! Yeah, pasta. I had pasta today, so very poignant. Oh. Let's see. I think this should be safe. Then we go this way. And that leaves me 19 boluses to try something over there. Want a new level of bullshit? How about the entire DLC as Rune of Death restored and is roguelike with permadeath? Yeah, no. Somehow I feel like Miyazaki's not going to go that far with the DLC. I can't wait for the DLC to come out and everyone's going to be underwhelmed by it because they've been waiting too long. That's going to be the most hilarious scenario to me. The fans themselves aren't happy with the DLC. Alright, so it's somewhere over here, huh? I don't see a ladder here. Not here. There we go. How do I get back up there? Maybe it's over here? Oh yeah, how was Melina once the Glowmite Queen? Like, how she was reborn to the spirit? Probably through the Erd Tree, it would seem, because that seems to be a big point of the Erd Tree, is that you do Erd Tree burial, so there can also be an Erd Tree rebirth of sorts. Though the spirit part is perhaps the mysterious thing, because it looks like she was physically locked in the tower in Langdell, right? Because there was, yeah, this tower here, there's that secret passage where it's like Melina must have been locked away there. So it's possible she had a physical form at one point, and then, like, for whatever reason, she's now in a spirit form without her memories? Interesting thing to think about. Dragon Scale Blade isn't bad, just not as good as pretty much every other katana. I see. Let's see. What you had before was just a hat. This is an actual crown, distinguished in carrying the benefits of a crown. Gotcha. Also including Harvest Valley Fia's Mist Edition. Fia's Mist Edition. Oh, I guess it's like your own Harvest Valley, but it's the Fia's. Yeah, no. No. They do that for the DLC, Night Scout. I ain't playing. No. We ain't doing Harvest Valley, trekking through underground tunnels of no visibility with Coffee is missed. Oh no. Let's see. The access to the top area is when looking south toward it. To the left of the structure, there will be a part of the cliffs facing that's a hill that you can climb. Gotcha. Let's see. So there's a, something on the left you said facing south, so let me just make sure I got this right. So south would be this way, so something like this, right? Let's look over there then. Maybe America took Melena's spirit and edited it for her own purposes. That's true. We have to also consider maybe a Bloodborne style data editing possibility to souls or something that might be at play. Oh, what do you know? Get over here! Well, I'm glad I went over here. For a somber smithing stone 6. Oh, what do you know? There's a walkway. Exactly as described. And there's the ladder. Ah, I see. I didn't look up. I was following the rules of FromSoft games, and I was bamboozled. Okay. Someone said there was a Alabaster Lord or some shit up here, so I guess we should be prepared for that. Ah. And he's dead. Alabaster Lord, no more. We got his sword, though. That's cool. Somber Smithing Stone 9. Nothing there. Anything else? I don't think it's a secret cell. It looks more like an office. No lock on the door. Desk and books with no bed. Special knife. Okay, no bed does not mean that much. Let's be fair there, Night Scout. With the way these developers make rooms and shit, like there's a lot of stuff where you're like, hey, there's a little few things missing from this. So I would not use the no bed thing as a, like, if they want Melon to just sleep in a chair, they'll do that. Like I'm not gonna like get too hung up on that stuff. But let's see the other stuff. I do recall there being a desk though. Special knife located there, etc. But there's a security guard at the door, I guess. That's a good point, Nobre. I don't think that's a security guard. This is from Night Scout. I think that's an official waiting to give to a report. Like in the waiting room, though, in the case of the waiting hallway. I don't know about a report, though. With the way how it's secret and all that, like the way like you have to access it and stuff like that, I don't know about that. The thing is that that's using an official whose like entire shtick is to deal with like seedy work, dealing with like executions and stuff like that of that nature, like grim. What's the locals? You say like a grim task or something. And then we have the case of the door itself. Looks like looks like your typical I don't know if I would say a cell door, but it's you know, it's like the dungeons in Bloodborne in the DLC with the whole like it's a fully wooden door, but it's got a little like grate window thing that's very small, so it does give the impression that it's at least a house arrest, if not an outright like prison cell. That's how it comes off to me. But let's take another look at it. Maybe I'm misremembering the details on the door. Forbidden Lands, because I think we're done with this area, right? I didn't miss anything else major for this entire thing. You don't need a bed to sleep. That's very true, Platy. Exactly. Alright, let's go back up here. Let's go look at Melena's room. Melena's obvious room. Would you rather be an Alabaster Lord or an Onyx Lord? I don't know. Do I want to be a White King or a Black King? That's a very hard question, Emperor. Gravelush. CD official needs to report to a CD's superior at some point. Yeah, but I don't give. That doesn't give me the impression with the whole door. It doesn't give me the impression of a waiting room. It gives me the impression of like a guard who's like watching over. Like it's like, hey, this is your task as being the babysitter. This is the direction, right? Or am I? It might be. God, we had this problem last time too, didn't we? I couldn't remember which way you were supposed to be in order to. We're not making that mistake again where I fall to my death. Ah, here it is. Right? No! I was wrong! I was wrong! I was so wrong. Okay, yeah, I see it though now. Okay. I see where I'm supposed to go up though. Okay. Let's see. The place looks more like where someone important would work than where they'd be stuck, in my opinion. Even furniture for guests in there, if I recall correctly. I'll double check for the guest thing. I'll be honest though, it reads to me as a house arrest type of deal, where it's like, okay, well, you're my daughter. Again, this goes, again, keep in mind, my current, I guess we'll say my current working theory is that Melina is Marika's daughter, who became Glowmite Queen and then was slew, and now for whatever reason she's been reborn, what have you, maybe because Marika doesn't like that she killed her child, or what have you, but like she, basically, somehow Melina's been brought back in the form we know her as now, right? Right here? Wait. I messed up again. How do I keep messing this up? I hate this. I hate this so much. I keep on messing up this entire thing. Also, I don't think that official had a weapon on him. I don't necessarily think he would have a weapon on him when we're looting a corpse, no. Okay, there it is. Okay, gotcha. Whoop. Oh. Okay, I gotta actually jump. All I gotta say is this is supposed to be a secret official's office. I will say they're doing their job. Who the hell wants to go to work and report to your superior this way? That's for sure. Does it say she was killed? I recall it just saying she was defeated. If I recall correctly, the word used with Valaketh says that he slew her. I have to double check, though, the exact verbiage. Ah, that was too early. Ah, why am I so bad at this? I don't know why this specific puzzle gives me so much trouble. I don't understand it. I'm so bad. Her codename is Child of Marika, if I recall correctly. Wait, what? Is that her internal name you're saying, Nobre? She feels more like a spirit ash or a puppet that Marika brought back. I'm still not fully confident in Melina being Marika's child. I see. You think she's kind of like the doll in Bloodborne, right? Like, almost like a partial revitalization. So, okay, we got official here, right? You have the door. Like, again, maybe because it's like they're seedy folk, right? So they got like seedy-ass door, but I don't know, this kind of reads more like, okay, you're in like little imprisonment. Okay, so we got little stuff for like resting or for visitors possibly. We got books, lots of books. You sleep on the couch, Melina. And then we got a chair, the blade is on here, and that's about it. There's the, you know, the blade here. Yeah, it really is sparse. You have a window here, so that's nice. But yeah, this just comes off to me as like, I could see the offer for an office type idea. I don't think of this as like a waiting chair though. This does not. Like, I feel like if anything, FromSoft would have done something where it was like, put the guy here, then maybe. I don't know. This definitely comes off to me as like a guard more so. But you could also, I think, read this as just a fancy room for a royal princess who has been revived and for whatever reason is being kept secret. Maybe because they want to keep the idea that the Glowmite Queen is back, but Marika didn't want to give up on her child, so therefore she revives her in some form or fashion, and then brings her into here where she can be locked away, and then she can still visit her daughter every now and then, right? Like, again, kind of like a, what's the word? The man in the mask situation. Oh, the man in the mask, he's actually the secret prince, that was, locked away or hidden because he was assassinated or some shit in the official history or something, right? Like, one of those types of scenarios. Alright, though, chat. I can't think of any other areas that we've missed. We've done the Lake of Rot, and we've done Noxtella. So, again, I want to thank whoever it was that reminded me. Very important reminder. Thank you. I think that covers everything we could possibly do before doing this boss rush. The window on the back doesn't have bars on it either. The window in the back. Oh, that That I'm not gonna be as anal about because we only see it from the inside, and actually I don't even think the window exists on the outside. Like, do you guys see it? Ornamental window doesn't actually exist. That'd be funny. It would actually be this way, right? So, can we go behind here? No, we can't, unfortunately. Darn. Yeah, I'm not gonna be as, I'm not gonna complain as much because if the answer is, oh, she could jump out the window, yeah, and what, fall to her death? Like, I'm not gonna be too big of a fuss over that. That's a nice carpet too, and a fancy chandelier, tons of candles. Have you seen prison cells for nobles, Night Scout? Like, they were pretty comfy, all things considered. Like, it was like, oh, darn, I have to go live in slightly less comfort than I'm used to. I can't move from my, this small room, but it has a lot of amenities that I would die for, if I was some peasant farmer during the medieval age. So I'm not gonna be too hung up on that stuff either. Sacred Sword, the Glowmite Queen who controlled the Godsquin Apostles before her defeat at the hands of Malekith. Yeah, I have to double check the JP for that though, because I think a term used which would imply death. That or the word for defeat is the same one used when we're referring to defeating enemies, which obviously basically means like 99% of the time kill. Check the door. Does it possibly have a lock on the outside or inside? Let's double check, sure. Again, I think just the fact that it's designed the way it is would tell you that. There's something there. There's a handle. It has a lock, but it looks like it's a lock on the inside, ironically enough. Or at least I think that is. Like, I feel, isn't that one of those things where you, like, lift them and you, like, put them over? Though there's not the corresponding piece that should be here. But, again, this is reusing assets, so. Where else would we find this thing? Volcano Manor? Like, where else would we find a door like this? Let's check here in the prison town. The fancy prisons for nobles tend to be locking them in what was already one of their rooms. Not necessarily. Like, Tower of London and stuff existed for where nobles were locked up and stuff, and that wasn't definitely one of their rooms. The idea was to refurbish an existing room for some of the more noble guests there and stuff of that nature. Though there were, I do recall, I think maybe Elizabeth Bathory was locked in one of her rooms with the bricking, but I can't recall the exact details there. That looks like a low bolt that doubles as a door handle. That's really long. Oh, whoopsie. The outside just has a ring like a door knocker. Yeah, it could just be copy-pasting assets, though, because, again, they're just like, hey, look at this general idea for the door. So we have this type of doorway with all the chains covering it. Again, if you guys recall where those doors might be copy-pasted elsewhere, feel free to say. I don't think it's a unique asset. It doesn't strike me as one, but I guess we'll see. Oh, I never looted this. Well, that's been corrected. Bathory was locked in one of her castles, yeah. But I'm trying to think if it was in one of the dungeon chambers of her castles, or if it was above, like in one of the towers or something like that. I cannot remember. Oh, well, I'm ignoring you. Thank you for not aggroing. Honestly, probably could get away with this. I figured Prison Town would be our best bet, but it doesn't look like it. Maybe over there. Alright. How am I alive? Nope, no, I'm not alive now. Whoops. I think maybe Redbane Castle. I think it was one of... ooh, Redbane Castle. Gotta check it. I think it was one of Bathory's regular rooms that was just barricaded off. Yeah, good. Man, now I want to go back and watch some documentaries on Bathory. God, I love her. I love her as a historical figure. Fascinating woman. All right, we go this way. Go this way. deal with our buddy here. Oh, of course. We'll go this way. Ah. He dodged. Ah! Ah! Damn it. Well, there goes 171k runes, chat. That'll be a lot of farming. Well, at least we don't have to worry about that. We could just go straight back to Redbane. Volcano Manor is Iron Keep too. Oh, yeah, I can see it. It kind of has the same vibe to it, right? Alright, let's go check out Redbane, because this might be the place. Let's try the... there's no grace at the graveyard. Okay, I guess we go here then. Some forts in the game use those doors. Ooh, good to know then. Yeah, and there's the more Banished Knight equipment and stuff here. Okay, yeah, this was a Banished Knight castle for sure. And then you have to add the whole Commander Neal coming from... Or is it O'Neill? Whatever. Whichever one it is. If forts and stuff use these doors, then this gives us the idea at least that's a door that's supposed to be kept secure. Which I think works either way for the idea of a dungeon cell or an office idea, if it's supposed to be... Oh, this is slightly different from what we have in Melena's quote-unquote room, but it's the same basic design, huh? And then, anything over here? Oh, I thought I did the second swing, but I didn't. Okay. Do we have any variations here at Redbane? I don't see it. Oh my god, that's stupid loud. Yeah, they're using the big... Ah! Oh no! Lots of pages, no nobles. Gosh, I wonder what happened to all the nobles here. Mm-hmm. Uh-huh. I don't know where that stupid scarab comes from, but it annoys the hell out of me that I keep hearing it. There's a great paper, like 100 pages or so, I found a few months ago, analyzing the Bathory case and addressing the strengths and weaknesses of popular research books on the subject. Oh, that's kind of convenient. Gist is that she probably did the killing, since the prosecution was more likely to be biased in her favor rather than against her. That's an interesting take. A lot of people would usually try to side with the innocent until proven guilty, but I suppose the idea would be that if we're doing a psychological analysis included in there. Oh. Yeah, characters like Elizabeth Bathory, Gilles de Rais, etc. They're fascinating case studies, especially because like these are like Jack the Ripper. Like these are cold cases, so trying to solve them, you know, so long after the fact, in some cases when they've already been technically quote unquote solved, is a it's always a fascinating subject for me. Speaking of DS2 I can't wait for the Rock God to show up as a Natch Curry too. I could Radon not having patience for I could see Radon not having patience for nobles. Yeah, I could see that too. It's like, oh, Lord Radon, what are we going to do about the rot? Throws them, like, just like freaking chunks them right out across the bridge over into the middle of it. It's like, oh, the pages are like, we didn't see nothing. Bridge of Sacrifice, Aguil Lake South, Waypoint Ruin Cellar. Anything else we can think of? Let's try Fort Height. That's, I think, a basic one. Loki, if a demigod would have become Elden Lord, who would have been the best and the worst? I don't know. Because I think the entire point is to show that none of them were really worthy for the job. They were all, because the idea was that they all became quote-unquote warped after claiming their shard bearers and all the infighting and all that, so... I don't know. I don't know if I would say any of them were, preferable. That's interesting. Okay, no, they're the symbol is still there. Yeah. So I know we have Mr. Blood Knight. But then you have, Godric's banner and stuff here. Very curious. Yes, we know your mom is dead. Your queen mama is dead. Come on. This stream ended up being a little longer than I thought. Maybe partially because I ended up like staying to talk to chat, but we ended up doing Rock God. Technically did a boss. Not Rock God, Lake of Rot. Oh. I'll be honest, I was kind of expecting a door to be here. Well, what do you know? More Banished Knight equipment. Who would have thunk? We then go this way. Oh. Up this way. If I had to pick one demigod, though, who had to become Elden Lord, who would I like to see, though, I would think? I don't know, I think Miquella's pure gold idea. Again, I'm not, like, an expert on Miquella's lore or anything, but I do like the idea of exploring the idea of what would Miquella's idea of a pure gold order be like. I guess Godwyn doesn't really count, of course, but, Radahn might be interesting, because who knows what kind of Elden Lord Radahn would end up becoming. Like, Radahn's one of those weird people where it's like, he really worships Godfrey, but mostly, like, the battle part of Godfrey. So it's like, would his be, like, almost like a barbaric age of just fighting and on-world duels and shit like that? Like, interesting to think about. Would he bring back, like, the Colosseums in full force? Like, just kind of curious what form Radahn's thing would take. Millennia, I have no interest in a Millennia Elden Lord scenario. Like, I really could not care less about Millennia. The Godric would just be funny. Like, it would just be funny imagining Godric as Elden Lord and then seeing him be like the absolute worst when it came to actually being the Elden Lord. Like, his policies are absolute garbage like him. I don't know, I just find that very funny to imagine. So yeah, I think Miquella might be the most interesting thing to see of, ooh, maybe this could work. I think the game's point is that none of it would work because they just proved to be all incapable, but Miquella I think might have the most potential. Let's see. I found it. The paper is by Rachel L. Okay, yeah, I'm going blind. Bloodsaw, and it's titled "No Blood in the Water: The Legal and Gender Conspiracies Against Countess Elizabeth Bathory in Historical Context." What an interesting title. I think any nobles in Caelid would have fled Caelid after the Scarlet Iona. Yeah, I would agree there. Soldiers, guards, etc. would be needed to try to combat the Rod and raided in. Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if you would have a bunch of these people who'd be like, well, I guess we're going to bail on Radahn if he's going to stay here and deal with the Rot rather than focus on being Elden Lord. Because, theoretically, Radahn could have just left Caelid to its own devices, set up the walls here, like we see, to keep it from spreading out of Limgrave or whatever. And otherwise, basically, focus on taking Stormvale from Godric, right? But instead, he chooses to stay here, so I could easily see a bunch of nobles siding with Godric after this, because they're like, well, I guess Godric's the only one with sense. Yeah, I could see something like that. The fact, though, that they didn't bring their pages is what I find a little suspicious to me. I think any nobles, every noble I come across has stolen some random shiny thing or Roa fruit, and cowers when afforded the chance. They all seem to be things Radahn would find annoying. I agree. I don't think Radahn would be too happy with any nobles who want to support him. He'd probably just tolerate them at minimum. Yeah, I think we've got all that covered, so that fort was a bust. I think Stormvale Castle actually might have stuff for us. Let's try that. With how long the Shattering lasts, I wonder at what point these weapons stop being Banished Knight equipment and just become local military gear for, say, the Redmanes. You could make an argument for that, because the idea would be that with Banished Knights, like, say, O'Neill or Niall or whoever it was, joining Radahn's side, you could easily say, like, oh, these are, like, weapons from when they stayed here. But I think generally where we find them consistently at the Norman forts, even in cases where there isn't any evidence of recent Banished Knight presence there, tells me that I think it's meant to instead tell us about, oh, these are equipment left over from the original owners, right? Like, we even find them in some of the towers here, like up here. This tower here, has the Banished Knight equipment and stuff with the shield and the weapons and stuff, right? Like, I'm willing to overlook it if it's like just the weapons, and you could be like, oh, it's just generic equipment, right? But when you include the shields too, and they're so distinctive, it makes me start thinking, okay, can we work this where all of them have Banished Knights present there at some point? And yeah, you can, especially when these towers that have been like long ruined, right? But they're being reused now because of the shattering. So, like, you'd be like, okay, this is from, like, the founding, right? This is an old tower that, like, Banished Knights were stuck in, kind of like the Fortified Manor and Shaded Castle and all that. And then, like, basically it got taken over, ruined, what have you, and now it's being used now, so many years later, with all the equipment left still there. Like, I can buy that. Godric's tax fallacy, an arm and a leg. Night Scout wins the comment of the day. Radon would have been the nameless Mad God King, too. Mikola makes me go, but we could save that for Haley Tree exploration. Best to experience it. Gotcha, Platy. I can't wait to get to Haley Tree, believe it or not. I can't wait to hate Haley Tree by the end of my exploration. Where would we go for doorways? I want to first try the cathedral thing. Yeah, whatever. Yeah, whatever. Pardon me? Doorways? Nope. Nope, this is... Okay, so this is a fancy doorway they could have used. So we do have an alternative door, which is more like, oh, fancy door. So this is something I would kind of expect more for an office. Though, again, I can see an office having the almost, you know, that prison-looking door, like that fortified look. Just because of, you know, like, it's seedy, it's underground, right? So, if we're going with that scenario, I can see it. But, again, I feel like this would be kind of door you'd want for your office more so, even if you're a seedy official. Let's see. Hay Road, Saints Bridge. It might be over here. Yeah, you're dead in one hot. One slice. Radon would be interesting based on his Lyrian Golden Order upbringing. He might love battle hype but have a Lyrian academic balance. Ooh, that's very true. I haven't looked too deeply into Radon, so I don't know how much the Lyrian side of his upbringing might have affected his him. But I guess you're right, because he learns gravity magic stuff, right? So he has to be someone who's at least fairly has a decent reasoning ability, right? Like, he has to have at least a bit of intelligence in his build. So yeah, you know what? That could definitely be true. There might be a bit more balance there, like Godfrey with Sarash. Again, normal doors here. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. Uh-oh, chat. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. Game decided to crash, I think. Morgoth seems to have kicked all the nobles out of Lindell, too. Only pages, drafted civilians, perfumers, and the military are left. They could also be locked in their houses, right? Because there's the entire idea of him, like, the waxes on the rims of windows and stuff, it looks like. So there might be kind of stay locked in your homes or whatever. Can't trust anybody. I feel like the disparity between the Brace and the Treetop Town tells a story of how Mikola's vision actually plays out. I'll have to keep that in mind. I'm not sure you'll hate it per se, but the whole evolution of who and what you see in different areas definitely tells a story. Well, yeah, the story part I'm sure I'm going to like. It's the, oh, looks like I had a... Steam wants to update too. Okay, sure. That part I understand, Platy, but it's my thing is the gameplay. Again, I've heard so many horror stories about Elden Ring's late game, so I'm ready to... I've seen a little bit of that when we got through Consecrated Snowfield at the end. I'm ready for the full experience in Haley Tree. Except the Crystallians, I'm not sure why they're around other than to be jerks. If there's Crystallians there, it could be the idea they want to be part of, want to be part of Mikola's order. Could also, because, actually, are they regular Crystallians or rock Crystallians? Because if they're rock Crystallians, then it could just be that they defected from they stopped waiting for their creator, and they decided they would join with, their new quote-unquote creator, the Rot Goddess. Radon learned gravity magic from Alabaster Lord and Celia too, so he doesn't seem prone to scoff at someone unconventional. Yeah, exactly. That definitely seems, surprisingly, like a tolerant person. on first impressions. There are a lot of wandering nobles outside some of Langdell's gates as if they're trying to get in but are locked out, so Morgon may have tossed them out. Yeah, that's true, but it could also just be that they're outside and they're trying to enter the capital, like, through normal means, right? Because we have to also consider, like, stuff like a bunch of them are leaving with Godric, and maybe there are people who are also able or were able to come back, or there are people who come from other holdings like Shaded Castle, so, like, I'm not ready to, like, tie myself to a specific area. I would say I never had any problems at all, but I'm pretty tolerant and don't really get annoyed at games. You mentioned that last time as well. I'm not the same way. I got a little ticked off by some of the Ordina and Wandering Mausoleum shit. We'll see, though, with Haligtree. Okay, guys, I think the game is telling me it's time for us to end this stream. I've been chatting with you guys for the most part, but we got 2 areas that I wanted to get done before Boss Rush episode, so I guess next time we play Elden Ring, it will be the Boss Rush episode this time. This time, for sure. Anyway, it was great talking to you guys, talking lore, being able to kind of chat a little bit. This stream went a little longer than I expected, but I guess it works. So one last thing, we'll talk about the Crystallians, and then we're ending this. I think Rotten Crystallians would go to the Haligtree hoping for medical treatment, like what Mikola tries to give Millennia. Ooh, that's an interesting idea, Night Scout. We'll have to keep an eye out for that, too. Platy, they are Rock Crystallians, but odd for them to be so displaced from a Grinstone Crystal. Yep. Could be, but like I said, it might be that they've defected and they're looking at. But Night Scouts also bring up the idea of maybe they're looking for a cure. Get something to explore. Anyway, see you guys. Bye-bye.